לוחץ, הכל נהרס. Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us to this first live AMA session with Maor Shlomo. Really excited to have you here. I'm Laura Lovinger. I'm the social media manager here at Base44, and we're really happy to be doing this because
Yes, well.
Yeah, the main thing that we put here is the connection with our users. And Maor, you also talked about this on your socials this week. Can you tell us a little bit about how you first started your connection with the users and how it's gone and how you're keeping it going?
Yeah, and I think we should be doing more of those. When we started out, it was like a bunch of like WhatsApp groups and Telegram groups, which was really cool because we stayed very close and very much in touch with the community. And I think as time goes and as we grow, we're looking for more ways to interact and engage. So we're experimenting with a bunch of stuff. We're hoping that this one's going to be fun and it's going to be interesting for you guys. Yeah, that's pretty much about it.
Okay, great. So I think we're going to start right ahead. We have a bunch of questions from Discord. We're also live on YouTube and LinkedIn, and we are reading your questions. We have some people from support that are ready to answer most of your questions, but we're also going to try to take some live, so bear with us. We're going to try. All right. So the first question is from Natis, from Discord. So vibe coding has received both positive and negative attention, with critics citing limitations like accessibility for non-technical users, model errors, and the fix-it-break-it-something-else problem.
Yeah.
What is Base44's strategy to address these specific criticisms and gaps related to vibe coding?
This is an interesting one. I think kind of like with the whole revolution that we're seeing around AI, we have a very short-term memory. So first of all, it's all kind of like on a timeline of like if you'd go back a year ago for the first version that we had in Base44, obviously it was like nothing compared to where we're at nowadays. And all the criticism around vibe coding, generally speaking, was justified. Both the platforms, Base44 specifically, and the models weren't there, but they were doing something already to create some type of functional apps, some apps that work, something that you need to get nowadays 10x prompts to get it to work versus where you're at right now. So first, it's an ongoing process. I think we're still not at a place to deliver the best experience, and the best experience for us is one, that every prompt that you give out, like you get exactly what you wanted, at least to some degree of like trying to, like LLMs try to understand what you're saying. So if you're vague, that they're going to be vague, or the response might not be what you're looking for. And second is to give more timely responses so that you can iterate way faster. Obviously, models are getting better, the infrastructure is getting better, our tuning and the prompts that we're using and leveraging are getting better and better. If you'd go to, I think it was start of October, we have this metric of like the sentiment of the prompts, and we have this metric of obviously the percentage of errors that AI create when it's coding. If you'd go to the start of October, this metric was 17%, which is okay-ish. By the end of November, we got it to 5%. Which is really awesome. Some of it is because of a lot of like the tuning that we've done internally. Some of it is just better models, right? Claude Opus and Gemini 3. And so I think we're nowadays already at a way better place. We'll get there faster than probably you'd expect. And would get there also for very complex applications. So yeah, I think the criticism is still to some degree justified. I think there are still places where you'd use Base44 and it might break other stuff, but it's changing very, very fast. And honestly, for those of you who try Base44 today and have tried it 2 months ago, it would be very different in terms of capabilities and in terms of like the power of the platform to do exactly what you're asking for.
Yeah. All right. The next question is from AJ Devs, who's also a partner of Base44, which we're going to talk about really soon. How is Base44 going to differentiate themselves with other competitors?
Yeah, it's a good question, which I keep getting. So there's some of like the obvious stuff. Just creating a smarter AI that can get you to where you want it faster than anything else and with less credits. I think it's Base44, so there's a couple of things here. One, Base44 always was, and hopefully always will be, around the functional part of the apps, right? So we were the first ones to introduce the built-in backend. We're think to almost almost a single player that still has has a built-in backend, is not relying on third-party backend services like Supabase and so on. We're doing a great job, but still a third-party integration is not as powerful as having the entire thing vertically integrated, so that you'll be able to create way more complex apps and more functional apps. And so our focus was and always will be on helping users create apps that can bring real-world use cases and the complexity into life. And we're putting a lot of effort on that, both with improving our backend, introducing more and more integrations, building higher level capabilities into the platform. So inside Base44, currently, it's the only place that you can create great AI agents that actually have tools and operate inside what the user is asking for. And there's all sorts of things like authentications and integrations that you'd want to use inside those AI agents. So if you go today to Base44 and say, hey, create this task management app or CRM or a marketing content management application, and add a layer of an AI agent to help me, whatever, prioritize tasks or do this and that, then you have those built-in capabilities. We're constantly identifying what users want to build and what they want to integrate with. And they want to integrate with WhatsApp or Gmail, or they want to build AI agents, or they want to build games or native mobile apps. And building this into this infrastructure that we took a bet very early on to build the backend and all the right infrastructure built in, and do it on our own, and do it very much LLM optimized, versus where I think the rest of the players are playing, where they either integrate with Supabase or Neon, and then you need 2 accounts, or anyway, or they manage the account for you, which is worse because then you need to pay twice. So that's some kind of like the differentiation. I think there's always this ongoing battle of just giving the best experience and being the agent that can bring the best responses. We have a lot of metrics, a lot of like the science that we're pouring in to make sure that when you're giving a prompt to Base44, it will be the best agent that will give the responses as close as possible to what you're looking to do and actually implement what you're trying to do. And it's not perfect yet, but for those of you who've gotten to this level of complexity of like 2,000 prompts and hundreds of pages and thousands of components and backend functions, then you see that the application is starting to get very complex, and that's exactly where like the places where I think we excel at. Still far from perfect, but that's where we're putting a lot of focus on the real world use cases, and less around let's build the best looking landing page, and more around real world complexity. That's kind of like I think our differentiation, and that's where we'll keep on investing more and more into.
Okay, nice. Okay, next question is from Super Suddy. What is Base44 doing to ensure stability and reliability as the platform scales? Many users report issues and unresolved tickets. What is the plan to fix that?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Not holding back.
Yeah, it's a really good question. Base44 grew very, very fast. So we went from like 100,000 users to 3 million users, like this. Maybe it was like 3 months, I don't know, or 4 months. And with it, we had plenty of growth pains, both in terms of like the stability and reliability, also in terms of support. I think we're already at a way better place after the acquisition and partnering up with Wix. Then we've bought a lot of like the big guns from Wix, to support us and help us scale and bring the experience, of knowing how to scale a platform to like tens of millions of users, and especially a platform like that with a lot of traffic. So I think we're already at a better place. October was terrible in that sense, and I apologize. And I've spoken with plenty of from the community of like, we took on ourselves to move very fast, and I think there's a tension between product velocity and keep on delivering new stuff and capabilities and the stability. We've built a lot of infrastructure in the past 60 days, from testing and scaling and a lot of stuff to be at a different place. So in the past few weeks, hopefully the community feels that. Everything feels better. I can tell you that in the next few weeks, I'm speaking about, let's say, 3-4 weeks, everything will also be much, much faster. So your applications will be much faster, which is also great in terms of SEO, but the querying of data and writing of data, like the entities inside your applications, that's going to be way better. Everything that has to do with like the database. We've brought the whole team that deals with reliability, scalability, and if their current trajectory of growth like stays the same, then we already know that we need to handle the next 10x and 100x. It's an ongoing process. I don't think there's a silver bullet. I think I would want our community to measure us over time. I think we're getting way better. It's on us to prove that that it's just going to stay like that for the long run.
Okay. Next one is from Healy. How was it in the early days of Base44? You were completely on your own. How did you even monitor that the platform was running through the night? Did you ever manage to sleep?
The first few months were terrible. They were a lot of fun, but terrible in terms of quality of life. For the first few months, maybe the first 2 or 3, I didn't have any monitoring in place. And people started building some serious stuff on top of the platform. They started like creating businesses and websites and like applications that the organization was using day to day. And I was constantly afraid it would go down. Also, I wasn't like a DevOps, for those of you who are familiar with the profession. So I didn't know if what I was doing was right in terms of like the servers that I've set up and how they scale and so on. So for the first, I think, back then it was like end of February and March and April. I had an alarm in my phone to wake up every 2.5 hours and check that the platform is still up. And one time it went down 5 minutes before I woke up, so
wow.
Good for me. Until I found this lifesaver. I don't even remember what was the name of the tool. That constantly checked if the site was up and would call me with like an automated call if something was down. And obviously as time goes, I've built more stuff to be more confident in the stability of everything. But didn't get a lot of sleep. But also it was like some of the most exciting days of my life. Also nowadays like we have a team, like a big team. So it's easier to manage and I can sleep well at night and everything is like more strategic. Back then it was like just me running as fast as I can, trying to deliver and also putting up a fight with other teams that were very heavily funded. It was a lot of fun and not a lot of sleep.
All right. Continuing on that, we have a question from Keith Hunt. Any advice for solopreneurs trying to grow an app?
Well, I have plenty. And a lot of things I've learned. One is constantly think, what's your take? What are the places that... So first, if you haven't found an idea yet, what are places that you have an interesting or special take or angle on an industry? And so what I found for me is that the easiest thing for me is to build something that I'm going to use. Which is, it makes the product improve so much faster, right? So early days for Base44, was actually building applications to help me run Base44. So I was building applications to help me write content for LinkedIn, to help me manage support, to help me like have a credit system so that I can give companies like licenses and stuff like that. And obviously it helped me a lot iterate on what I'm doing. So when you're a solopreneur, and especially if you're doing that bootstrap, like without funding, which is usually the case, it comes together, then you need to have a killer product. Because the product's going to market itself. You likely don't have like millions to put on like paid marketing. Mm-hmm. And so I was looking for shortcuts to improve my product. So one is like using it myself. Second, again, one of the best things that I did very early on is to open up a WhatsApp group or a Telegram group, whatever everyone's using, which turned out to be really, really good because everybody's with their phones all the time. I was with my phone all the time. I didn't need to like check support tickets at the end of the day. I would get feedbacks immediately. It helped me create a community that's constantly around Base44, and people would speak about that. And this is, I think, one of the things that helped me go very, very viral. The second is, I feel like nowadays marketing is more around, or at least early days for Base44, what worked really well is focusing on very vocal users and helping them succeed and giving them kind of like some credits to play with the platform and supporting them and giving them kind of like the personal relationship in order for it to go. And it went really well because I think there's like in vibe coding specifically for me, it was an industry that there were many vocal people out there. And at some point, even though Base44 got there late, but as kind of like grew from trajectory very, very fast, so I needed those people to say, hey, this is actually better than the rest of the industry, and you guys should be using this, and I've been trying this and that, I've been trying this prompt and that prompt. The second thing is once you start a company, you're going to have so many people and companies and whatever wanting to meet you. If you're doing this on your own, I had this rule of like no meetings until I bring my first employee, only meeting users. And so managing your schedule is like, it's so tough because you have to have like a very brutal prioritization. So that was another thing.
All right. Great. All right. So the next one is from Asifi Azaid. Hope I'm pronouncing it right. What's your most ambitious goal you have for the new year?
Wow, that's a big one. I don't know if I know how to answer that because next year is so far away and things are moving so fast. So I'll say, what's my most ambitious goal for Q1?
Fair enough.
Let's start with that. So first is to bring the AI errors to zero. Meaning that 3 months from, or end of Q1, almost a bit more than 3 months from today, what you write is what you get. There's no, like the AI implemented one thing but messed up another thing, or didn't implement it fully. I think in 3 months we can get to a place where what you've written down is what you get, which is going to be awesome, because this means that that literally every single person on earth can create stuff. And now it's more related to what are the capabilities that we're putting on the Base44 platform to allow people to just build any type of software. So this is one thing. We started releasing and we're going to release a whole lot of integrations so that you can build an app that literally connects to everything. You can do it right now with many different integrations. So now it's super easy for non-technical and technical people to create applications that connect to their calendar and Google Drive and WhatsApp and all sorts of things. So this is going to be in terms of like connectivity. I'm hoping that by the end of Q1, this is basically will be a problem solved. And the third thing is people are gonna, and we're seeing this, and this is beautiful, people are building companies and are building products on top of Base44, but it's not going to be anymore just the technical part. It's not going to be just like at some point like, and I think we're doing this right now okay-ish and pretty well, but it's going to get to a place where, okay, you can build most of the things on top of Base44. I don't know when we'll get there, but hopefully sooner than later. but there's all sorts of other things that you want to do. Once you build a product, you want to market it, you want to get some feedback from users, you maybe want to start a company and start managing whatever other stuff. And the way I'm seeing it, like a vision for Base44 is giving this entire suite of products and services so that people can really build their dream businesses or products and do it end to end. Not only the coding piece, but all the other stuff.
Like a 360 thing.
Yeah. And we have some very other exciting stuff on our roadmap. But yeah.
But we'll hold on to that for now. All right, so next one is from Cardboard Player. What do you consider the most important steps or best practices for users when creating an app on Base44? Are there any common mistakes people should avoid?
That's a good question. Okay, there's one thing that's important. I don't know if it answers the question, but building with AI is very different than building with a person, like a developer. So there's a lot of times like you write a prompt and then the AI like does a lot of things, right? Writes a lot of code. And then we as humans, we're like emotionally invested in the work that the AI already did. And we're like, okay, it did a lot of work, even though it's like taking like 3-4 minutes. And I think the way that I'm working with AI a lot of times is like, it's very common and very often that I'll revert or try a different, like take the same prompt and add another sentence below. And I think a lot of times like people need to adjust to this mindset that it's very easy to go back or it's very easy to try different things. And the AI is not really a developer that will get hurt because they worked on one thing and now you change it completely. So this is the first thing is like experiment more. And instead of trying to every time nail it perfectly, just you have an idea for a feature or an application, start with like, I see a lot of people like ask me even before they put the first prompt, like what should I do? How should I approach it? Just start with it. There's some kind of like unspoken art of working with Base44 that people get used to pretty fast. But again, constantly think about the fact that this is an AI and it can get you to many different places, and iterations, like practical iterations, actually changing your app constantly is the best way to actually understand from a product perspective what you're trying to do. And instead of trying to think in your head, okay, will this feature work or not, just try it out. I would say, if you'd asked me this question, let's say a few months ago, I'd say write clearer prompts, sometimes like give the right instructions. I think we're headed to a place where the models just get smarter and smarter, and Base44 the platform gets better and better. And so I don't think it's anymore around like write a very clear PRD or whatever. I see a lot of folks go to ChatGPT to write some sort of a prototype document and then come to Base44. I don't think they should do that. I think a better way is like just prompt it with the vague thing that you wanted to write. The model already takes it and then thinks what you actually wanted and kind of like breaks it down to some sort of like a prototype document and then implements that. So if you're vague, ChatGPT will either way write some vague document that Base44 will try to implement later. So I think it's just about iterating and then refining the prompt from there. The other thing, which is really important, that I'm still trying to wrap my head around from a product perspective, how we're handling that, is delete the unused parts in your application. People are building more and more and more features. I think great software is measured not only with like what features it has inside, but also what features it doesn't have, and it's a lean, and it's kind of like something that's very simple and easy to use. Be careful of feature bloat. Constantly think about not only what you're adding to the software, but also what you're deleting from it.
Okay, I feel attacked with this one, but yeah, it's true. Okay, Emily4554. Why are you promoting the elimination of SaaS apps when a great portion of your users use the platform to build their dream SaaS apps? Instead, with Base44 as the master builder, please support the builders.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think I'm promoting the elimination of SaaS apps. I think it's probably related to the latest podcast that I've done with like 20 VC, where I said I think in 3-4 years people are going to build Salesforce and not buy Salesforce. I think my saying was mostly around the very big one-size-fits-all SaaS monopolies, or like very large one-size-fits-all kind of like type of software off the shelf, and software that was looking to get like a type of software that in order to actually use it, you need to customize everything inside, pre the era of LLMs, right? So CRMs are like a good example for that. You need to customize what columns you want to see and whatever. And I think what I tried saying is like we're going to get into a place where software is going to become more liquid and you'll be able to change it. The builders who are building companies and products on top of Base44 is probably the one, if not the segment that I like the most. I think there's plenty. I think the future that we'll see is that vibe coding would actually expand the software market drastically. Some of my best friends left their job and started a software business, something very niche. Folks who had no like technical savviness before that, and I love that. And I think what we'll see is that a lot of people, because the technical piece is not a barrier anymore, will start businesses with the unique knowledge that they have, or again, the take, maybe they have some special take on an industry or a problem. And I love seeing that, and I'm planning to support that, and I think that's going to be incredible. I think I was more referring from the SaaS apps, like the extremely big, one-size-fits-all, very painful to customize type of software. And I think this specific segment is going to get eliminated. I'm hoping to.
All right. We're going to take a few questions also from our LinkedIn. So Guy is asking right now, how did you manage with hundreds of users giving you comments and suggestions and requests directly to your WhatsApp at the beginning of your road? I'm at a similar crossroad and I found that it's taking a lot of my time.
Yeah. So one, at least that's what worked for me. I don't know if that's the right answer for everyone. So actually, when you get a lot of people shouting at you what your software should do or what you need to improve, if it's like 1 or 2 or 3 people, sometimes it's very hard, the signal to noise and no ratio, no kind of like what's the right thing that you should do. Mm-hmm. At some point, yeah, I actually need to change my phone number because like I'm still getting, by the way, like hundreds of messages or sometimes thousands of messages a week and a day. But to me, it made things to some degree easier because I've started seeing kind of like the common patterns, and I started seeing what people saying more and more. And specifically the fact that it was on WhatsApp, although it obliterated my social life because I couldn't answer anyone, but it was an easier time to have a conversation with my users. So yeah, it was my personal phone and so on, but if someone was writing something, then I can quickly reply, hey, what did you mean when you said that? Or can you just give me a screenshot of what you actually like, what you're looking at, or the bug that you're seeing, which is very different than the tools that I feel like a lot of software companies, including ourselves, are currently using to collect feedback as like general, hey, leave your comment here of what features you'd like to see in a software. And I think this, like having no barriers, whether it's WhatsApp or Discord or something like that, where you can chat with your users very easily.
It's like using what you usually talk to, then just use that platform.
Absolutely. Because a lot of times there's also like users going to say something, and you want to actually understand what they're looking to say, right? They're saying, okay, I think you should do this. And then, okay, let's break it down. Why do you think we should do this? Like, what's the problem that you're facing? And then from the problem, maybe you as the product person would have a different interpretation and say, whatever. So my answer to this question is like, it's tough, but to some degree it's easier, especially if you have many people. At some point, obviously, I couldn't reply to everyone. And so I had these automated replies of saying, I'm sorry, I'm like swamped, or My WhatsApp is getting obliterated, and yeah, it was hard to respond to everyone. Still do, but it definitely helped from a product perspective.
All right. The next question is from Andre from Discord, who's also a partner. When will Base44 introduce the option to prompt all the way to the market, making it compliant with every regulation? It would be nice to release apps that are ready to use straight from Base44. Thanks for your attention.
Okay, I'll probably need to break it down to understand what does it mean to prompt all the way to the market. I think we're taking a lot of steps. So it seems like a question from an angle of like a regulation. First, we have a couple of very important announcements that we're going to do in 2 weeks, and I promised everyone on the team that I'm not going to make those announcements here. Of helping, obviously, not only making Base44 compliant with many regulations and certificates, but also helping our users and applications be compliant with whatever regulations they have. I can tell you that we're investing in like the specific and most asked for stuff like GDPR and HIPAA compliant and so on. Some of them would be sooner, and some of them like it's going to take a bit of time. But we're investing a whole lot, and again, it gets back to like it's an easier time for us because we have the backend built in. But we're investing in a whole lot to help users attend to the right regulations and save the data in Europe and all those kind of things that you need for different use cases. So I don't have a very practical answer. I think in a month or two, maybe two, regulation is not going to be a roadblock. It's not going to be a challenge when you're building your apps. And again, gets back to this 360 view of like, okay, it's not only the technical part, but there's a lot of things you need to get right in order to get the product at the hands of your users.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the next one is from Erwin Blom. As a non-techie, I'd love to be able to use Google APIs, Banana, Maps, Search in Base44 as easily as in Google AI Studio. Will that be the case in the foreseeable future? P.S. Love Base44.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, you can already use Nano Banana. That's the default generate image integration that we have. So you actually don't need even an API key. Maps and Search. Search, I think, is also integrated with the built-in LLM. But I think it should be very, very easy, right? So you open up backend functions, even if there's like no built-in integration. What we call built-in integration is like you as a user, you don't need to connect anything. You don't need like an API key. So even if there's no built-in integration, we're making it very, very easy. You can create a backend function. In the last 3 weeks or so, we've improved Base44's ability to read documentation of different like online services APIs. So even if you want to connect like Maps and Search, and so it will have way less errors and it's going to be relatively easy. We're also building a lot of integrations to the G Suite of like Excel, Google Drive, Google Calendar, and so on. It's a good question. I'll take like specifically Maps and Search. So Nano Banana is like built in already. Specifically Maps and Search, I'll personally try and see how easy it is. And if not, definitely something that we want integrated.
Yeah, I think as a non-techie myself, I can say that the easiest way for me is I always just go to the discuss mode and I ask, what should I do? And then I just follow the steps, and it's really easy to follow the steps.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. But we should make it like one prompt to end-to-end. We'll find a way.
All right. Question from Sam. We said we're going to talk about the partners, so here it is. What are your thoughts on the partner program? This has been a huge success for me personally, and a lot of my peers also have seen similar success. Are you happy with the rollout where it currently sits, and what do you see for the future?
Awesome. Thank you, Sam. We're happy that it's working for you. Here's what I'd love to do, and here's what I see happening. I think we have one of the best communities, if not the best community out there, for even for SaaS players in general. and I'd love to create an ecosystem where people can get compensated, can make a living, which is what we're seeing with the partner program.
And so maybe let's for a second say what's the partner program is
awesome.
for people who don't know.
So there's a bunch of things we're doing. One, there's a partner directory, which is very live and very active. So for those of you who are like Base44 experts and want to make a living or generate some bucks out of it, you can list yourself as a partner. There's different tracks and expertise. Like you can be a designer that can help people improve their apps and how it looks like. There's like developers, obviously, that if you get very technical or someone gets stuck, they can bring you in to help them solve their problem. There's like security and legal. There's like all sorts of different partners. So that's I would say also mostly for the individuals. We'll speak about kind of like companies in a bit. The partner ecosystem is looking awesome. There's like plenty of leads and very live, and there's like plenty of folks bringing partners to help them with all aspects of their app or of their applications. There are other stuff we're building. One for the larger agencies and companies and organizations that are bringing Base44 into other customers. So we're seeing many organizations and many agencies that use Base44 and implement a CRM for a larger company or like do a lot of projects. And we're going to invest a whole lot in this segment. So stay tuned. We know like people are already doing that on top of Base44, but we're going to build a lot of stuff in the product and a lot of help for this specific segment. We've also opened up our templates marketplace, which means that you can now sell templates and sell applications inside the Base44 platform, which is another very cool thing. So again, as a concept, what I want to do and what we want to do is create an ecosystem that people can work in the Base44 ecosystem, that people can help one another, that we have those expertise and those Base44 ambassadors that we can always empower and take people to the next step in their expertise with how they're building applications and software. And we're going to invest a whole lot in that. So yeah.
Okay, great. We have a question coming in from YouTube. It's kind of taking back to what we talked about before. Alex is asking, how important was your own content and building in public to the success of Base44?
I'd say very important, and I've done this not on purpose. It wasn't even my idea. So, okay, I started Base44. I was looking at there wasn't vibe coding back then, and most of the tools were maybe good with generating a front end. I don't think there was like a super base integration back then, or maybe there was, but like I looked at it and said, okay, I came to it from a place of like wanting to build full functional apps, and at some point I've built a platform and I started experimenting both with like new users and friends and people that are very not technical. But also people that knew the other competitors and other players, and at some point, like people looked me straight in the eyes and said, "Okay, this is better than what's out there." And then I was like, "Okay, now it's time to market." And I've tried many different things, and I think I spent $2,000 on like an influencer post, didn't work well. And I tried spending some dollars on like Google Ads, didn't work well. I tried like writing content for like SEO, and at one point, one of my friends told me, "Hey, you know what we should do? You should just write about it, because like you're building this on your own, which is very cool. Your previous company was very funded, like a lot of people. Just write about it, and it might resonate with your audience, because your audience are builders. Your audience are builders that are building products and are building companies, and so telling the process of how you're building this company might resonate really well." This was crucial. I think Base44 wasn't where it is without its community, and its community was, at least from the very early stage, was built from the content and from sharing about the journey of like how it is to build Base44, how it is to build in a very competitive market with no funding by myself. I'm glad I did that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, community and content creation, they go hand in hand, because you have to give something to the community. So,
Yeah.
all right, we're heading to the last question of the evening, which is, what's the next cool release for Base44?
I promised the team that I wouldn't tell the big stuff. There's one really cool thing that's coming up very soon, which is the ability to install custom JavaScript packages, which opens up kind of like the Base44 applications to everything that's out there, from new user interface libraries to like drag and drop stuff to working with other APIs. It's like you can do anything now. You can bring, if you're like a big company that's building their own, for example, components and design systems, then you can leverage that. So this is going to be a really big one and a really cool one. And already from the early testers, we're seeing people building like a lot of great stuff that they couldn't build before. And we have a lot of other big stuff that I'm not allowed to say, but we'll see them in the next few weeks.
All right. So thank you. And thank you very much for joining us. We're going to talk more about the release on our socials right after this. And for you guys for joining, we want to give you a special coupon code that's available right now, which is B44 AMA44. So this is yours. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome. Thank you.